All right. So welcome, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I think most of you are familiar names, but I am Kate Mueller. I'm the Chief Product Owl and resident cheesemonger here at KnowledgeOwl. And I'm very excited today to get to talk to you about several new features we have around our themes. So themes are controlled by your style settings page. So if you're familiar with that, I say theme and you have no idea what that means, that's what theme is. It's everything that you use to set the look and feel of your knowledge base overall. And we've released a set of improvements that are really cool. Some of them you can go make in your knowledge base right now. Some of them apply to new knowledge bases moving forward. So I wanted to kind of walk through what all of those look like, how you would use them, and what you want to work on. Just for those of you who are here, I'm going to drop a couple links into chat on relevant support pages so that if you want to follow along or bookmark these for later, you can. All right, and now I'll share my screen and we can start talking about these things. Okay, so can y'all see my screen? You should be able to see the KnowledgeOwl dashboard once you log in. All right, I see nods and thumbs up, always a good sign. So I'm going to walk through the stuff that is the easiest and fastest for you to try out in your knowledge base first, and then talk about some of the stuff that's out there just for brand new knowledge bases. So I have here just a little sample knowledge base that I sometimes use for Wisdom Wednesday things, because I'm going to talk about theme stuff and I don't want to accidentally mess up the theme in our support knowledge base. So I've done some slight modifications from the default theme here to give it sort of an all white background. I've got my sort of standard homepage category panels here. The first and the biggest, and to me, the most exciting change of the stuff that we have rolled out is that we now have an option to style this homepage a little bit differently and display category icons in these panels. If you haven't used category icons yet, that's because for the longest time, we hid those icon fields at the bottom of the category editor, and we didn't have any built-in tools for you to access them directly. And this is the first of what I hope is a series of features where you can actually use them in real life without having to add JavaScript or weird coding or other things. So the first of these is a new homepage merge code, a new template merge code for the homepage. So for many of us, our existing template merge code lives in knowledge base homepage, which is usually this template base cats. For some people, this also might, instead of being a knowledge base homepage, which is sort of like our super default vanilla setup, this might have been moved into your style settings page, which is generally in custom HTML and body if it's in here, or no, not body, homepage, because we're talking about the homepage. Usually you'll see it somewhere in here if that is the place that it lives. So if you want to apply these changes, first step is to figure out where your base cats merge code is actually being used. Once you have done that, the fastest and easiest way to add this change is to swap out the word, is to not drop your mouse and have it do weird things, is to swap out the word base for icon. This is our new merge code. This is sort of the streamlined version of it. It has some additional variables you can add in. I will walk you through that. But for now, I'm just going to update to icon cats here. So this is what my homepage looked like before I made those changes. Once I make those changes, I go from big clunky boxes to much more streamlined, modern looking boxes with a few built-in category icons. These are not icons I already had selected for my categories. We picked these 4 in the colors at random. So if you don't like them, it's okay. They're a default placeholder. All you have to do is pick a category of your choice and it will upload here. But again, all I did there was to update my base cats to icon cats and hit save. Fairly straightforward in the land of updating merge codes. There are a couple of variables here that you can play around with if you want to customize that look and feel a little bit more. So one of the limitations on our old homepage layout was that it liked to do this three categories per row layout. And it has always been a bit of a pain to try to customize that. You end up doing a lot of funky CSS to make that happen. I am very excited to say that the new icon cats template actually lets you pass a variable in as part of the merge code to say how many categories you want in a row. This is detailed in a help page called Add Category Icons to Homepage, to your homepage category panels. This walks through both the old code we had as well as some of the new options. So you'll see it's got examples of several different variables here that can be passed in. Though what I care about here is this col, which stands for columns, and then it equals and a number. So in this case, the default behavior for this homepage is to do 4 across. If you don't want to do 4, if you want to go back to the old 3, for example, all we have to do is not copy and paste like that, is add in that little column variable and pass in the number that we want to go with it. You can use any number here. I will say the higher the number you pick, the more squishy the boxes get. So I really probably wouldn't recommend doing higher than like 4 or 5. I tested it with 10. It works, but the boxes are tiny and not very clickable. So would not recommend. But once I make that change, as soon as I pass in that variable, I can come out here and refresh, and you'll see it has sort of dynamically updated to 3 wide. You can play around with the numbers here. You can do 2, you can do 4, whatever you want. The default is 4, so if you're fine with 4, you don't actually have to pass a variable at all. The other option we have in here, you'll see we also have this variable for max equals. So if you have a ton of top level categories, and you only want a certain number of them to display on this page, there are 2 ways you can do that. One of them is in the category itself. So any one of these categories, there is a section down here in content restrictions that gives me the option to hide from homepage. So you can check that box to hide it. But if the way your content is laid out is like, oh, I just want to display the first 4 categories, whatever those are, I want to display the first 4 categories on the homepage at all times. That is when you would want to use this max variable. You can set it to say, I want to show a maximum of this number of categories, and it will only ever show the first, whatever you set this number to. So the first 4, the first 8, whatever that might be. And again, we're just going to update the merge code here to say what we want to pass in. So in this case, maybe I will set my max to 3 and my columns to 3. So I've got 4 top level categories out here. And my 4th one will drop off once I add that variable in. You can play around with this a bit. If you have this merge code in your style settings page in the custom HTML for homepage, you should be able to use the preview button there without having to save those changes to see how it looks as well. So that's bare bones, what the merge code will do for you. Now, while we picked some pretty awesome icons in here, I would totally understand if you wanted to swap them out for icons of your choice. That can be done directly in the category editor. So you'll see we've moved this category icon section. It used to live way down here under meta description, and we've now moved it very high directly under the category title. Click the gear icon to say that you want to select a category icon. And you've got 2 options here. You can pick an existing icon you already have in your library. So if you have a designer who's worked up, PNG or SVG files or something like that work very well for you as icons, feel free to pick one from the library. If you go this route, you can also upload a new file to the library in the process. The other option you have is that we've worked out a much tighter integration with Font Awesome. So you now have the full range of Font Awesome 6 icons available to you, which is thousands of icons. So let me search for one at random here. It will give me a preview of what the options are that kind of match my search phrase. I can set the color that I want to use either by using the sort of color picker here or directly pasting a hex value in. And then the variant options here will dictate which of Font Awesome's built-in style variants get used. So duotone will do this sort of like 2-toned thing, with the main tone being the color that you picked, and then they algorithmically set the other one. Regular will generally do outlined things. solid will do filled things, and then light and thin are basically just thinner and thinner variations on the regular styles. You can select any of these that you want. I think I will go with a duotone here. Once you've finished your selection, whether it's a file library icon or a Font Awesome icon, it will display back to you. So you have a visual indicator of what you picked, which is totally new. We didn't have that before. And once I save at this point, I should be able to come out here and update my homepage, and I immediately get that icon. A couple things on this new homepage layout. This merge code does create slightly different HTML and CSS classes from the base CATS merge code. We did this on purpose because we made choices that we later came to regret in the HTML and CSS structure of the old template. But B, we didn't want to like automatically override CSS that you might have here. So we automatically use this sort of default CSS that is styled a bit differently. If you want to tweak that, the help pages will walk you through a great deal of how to style those things and how to transition some of your existing CSS over. So there's actually a whole section that gives you the default styles that we're using on this HTML and the classes that are being applied, as well as some tips and tricks on how to transition it. The big change is that we no longer use the FAQ cat panel class. We use a cat icon panel class. So in some cases, you can just adjust your CSS to add cat icon panel where you have FAQ cat panel, and a lot of those things will translate over. But if you really want to get into the styling nitty-gritty, strongly recommend you reach out to our team. We can give you a copy of your current knowledge base to play around in so you can get the styles exactly where you want before touching anything that's live in production. I'm going to pause there because I haven't even touched on the full new theme yet. And I imagine that we've probably got some questions that have rolled in along the way. Is there anything else right now that folks want me to dive into on this before I hop into like the full-blown new theme? Okay. I like silence.
We're already at 16 minutes.
I know I'm not doing good at time management because I'm really excited about these changes today. So the other option here, so we did not build, when we originally set out to update theme, we thought, all right, we will just make a new option in style settings that'll be a new theme that people could select. And we ran into a number of problems there, and it felt like it was going to take us a really long time to be able to deliver a new theme. And we felt that getting something out the door sooner that folks could use was a little bit more important. So what we have done instead is a sort of ad hoc new theme, which you can get by creating a new knowledge base from scratch. So we will do a quick new knowledge base. These new knowledge bases take a little bit longer to create than normal empty ones because we're doing a bit more in them. One of these things we're doing is dumping a little bit of placeholder content in so you can see what the homepage behavior actually is when you get into this knowledge base. The other is a bunch of magic happening in style settings. So normally in a new knowledge base, you would get a completely empty custom CSS. What we've actually done here is to populate a whole bunch of custom CSS. So we built this new theme loosely based around our support knowledge base theme because we've gotten a lot of requests from people that they want a theme like that. But instead of hiding all of that in a style sheet and making you walk through dev tools to try to find it, we have actually put in all of the custom CSS that we are using to make those changes, commented, so you have some sense of what's happening. So if you want to tweak that theme, you can. Here is what that theme out of the box looks like from scratch with content in it. So it's getting different default styles in subcategory displays. It's getting a very sort of white, lean, sparse layout with not a lot of horizontal dividers. We're adding the back to top icon functionality kind of out of the box instead of you having to add it as a snippet manually yourself after the fact. And there's just a lot going on in here. So as I said, this will happen with any new knowledge base that gets created from scratch. It will not happen if you copy your existing knowledge base. We will copy whatever the full theme is there. We can also grab the CSS and plop it into a knowledge base. If you've already got a sandbox you've been working in and you want to test out a new theme, we can dump it in there for you and make a couple tweaks to the custom HTML. But these are the main changes that we've rolled out. Go ahead, Mary Beth.
Is the custom CSS that you get and is documented in the new theme, is that available in our knowledge base somewhere?
I haven't posted it yet, but I certainly can after this call. Just grab a copy of this and put it in. We've still been tweaking it a little behind the scenes, so I had hesitated to release it. But yes, I can absolutely do that after this call finishes.